Good morning. It's day 2. It's Tuesday the 26th of August 2025 and we're back in Ballycastle from the exact point I walked to yesterday. We're going to walk over to Bushmills via the giant Causeway and the Carrick-a-rede rope bridge, but before we do that I'm going to check out the Lammas Fair to see if I can get some traditional seaweed called Dulce. So here we are. It's much quieter here than yesterday, and very nicely the streets have been tidied up because there was loads of litter on. I was successful on my mission and I managed to get some of the world famous seaweed and the yellow man honeycomb candy. So we'll be trying these out in a little bit. So we've just joined the Ulster Way, which for the first few miles outside of Ballycastle is actually just walking along this relatively pleasant coastal road. So here we are coming off our section of road and onto the first brother footpath. Can you see just down here? So yes, Tessa's off the lead, she's having a whale of a time. So we're up 5 miles walk, and just off the road before Carrick-a-rede, they've built this new little, I guess slightly tourist trap, ice cream van, picnic site with great views of, I think that's called Rathkin Island over there. And right in the far distance actually, that's Scotland. So here we have a great vantage point of the Carrick-a-rede footbridge. This was used for salmon fishing for nearly 400 years and only closed operation in 2005. At its peak in the 1800s or 1900s, they'd catch about 250 salmon as they'd swim through that small passage just there. I'm actually not going to go on the rope bridge this time because it's about £20 a ticket and doesn't accept dogs, but I went on it a year and a half ago and it was pretty interesting standing above there, above the waves. Well, we had a lovely stop in the Carrick-a-rede National Trust Cafe, and now we're venturing down into the quarry to continue our walk along the coastline. I've managed to recharge my camera and my phone, so should have plenty of battery to take some more footage for you. We're now descending on this very windy road down to the harbour. Just hairpin bends. I think because we've got to drop quite a lot, and there's cars coming through all the time. So we've just passed the harbour, and now we're in this stunning stretch of apparently farmland. It's saying dogs must be kept on a lead, so we're following the rules. Just catch you this way, you can just see how interestingly rugged the whole landscape is. The wind is kind of coming in, and I think it's due to rain in about an hour or two. So our next stop will be at Dunsevrick Castle, where we hope to get a warm bite to eat. So this is the closest so far we've come to the sheep. They're pretty daft and they don't really hear us coming. So there would be, I guess, easy pickings for any kind of wolf. Hi guys, how you doing? You're on camera, smile. So now the path is getting much less defined and we're walking on this kind of rocky outcrop. I hope we can get through because it seems like the tide is quite close at the moment. Tess is kind of helping me a bit too much, and we'll see, yeah, we can get around this section. Yep, so here is definitely the hardest section so far. But if you can see the ground that's what I'm walking on, I think there is a way through, even though the tide is quite high, and maybe I can do this without getting wet feet. And let's see. Well, the tough section was much shorter than I expected, and we safely made it onto the beach. Tess is having the time of her life, running, having a little swim. Yeah, she's really enjoying it. She found a stone. Not many sticks here really for throwing, so perhaps a stone will have to be. Okay, Tess, are you ready? Are you you ready? Oh, is it a shell? Oh, it's a stone. Okay, keep your eyes on the prize. Wow. Good girl. He's a clever dog. So we've got another quite tight section between the sea and the cliff face. I've checked the map and it seems like there is a way through, and all we've got to do is get to those houses over there, which I can't imagine are more than maybe 300 meters away. So yeah, let's see if we can do it. Yep, so it's pretty technical. A few big jumps every now and then, and we're trying to avoid these slippy rocks. Tess, again, really enjoying herself. She's kind of designed for these boulder hopping problems. Me less so, just being a feeble biped, and she wants to play fetch as we go, of course. Good girl, Tessie. So now we're on the coastal path proper, and it's just amazing. Archways, seaweed, good views, a little bit of drizzle, but most bizarrely, no one else really on it. Must not be the day to do the coast path today, even though up until now it's been perfect conditions. So yes, we're heading on and we'll catch you for some lunch. So this is really cool. The actual path went through this little archway, and if you look behind me, look what view we're treated to. Isn't that just spectacular? So we had to put Tess back on the lead because there might be some farm animals, although it seems quite unlikely given how the gap between the fences is. And we're getting ever closer to Dunsevrick and the eponymous Dunsevrick Castle. There should be a little place called the White Bothy, and apparently it's dog friendly, does great food, and will replenish us for the last 8 miles of the journey today. Sadly, I overshot where I was meant to go for lunch by about a mile, and I didn't think I wanted to turn back, so we're just carrying on to Dunsevrick Castle, which may or may not have some basic refreshments, so fingers crossed. We can see for miles and miles, and there is Rathlin Island from a perspective. We're just going to go through another sheep field, so let's see what they think of us. Well, we're getting all the attention from these lovely little sheep who are resting from the rain by lying down. Tess is just not bothered by them though. She's keen to get home. I think she's hungry. So right over my shoulder you should be able to see Dunsevrick Castle, made famous in How to Train Your Dragon, where they apparently filmed quite a lot of the scenes around here, and you can see why. It's just epic really. Yeah, just big drops and kind of gashes in the landscape really seem to make sense from anything we used to seeing in Yorkshire. And here's a side view of the castle. You just see the steep cliffs and the funny outcrops of rock and the paths that can go all the way down to that little beach. Unfortunately, we're running a tad tight on time. It's just gone 3:30 and we've got about 8 miles left. So here we are, what a beautiful vantage point. So next on the agenda is to try and get to the National Trust Visitor Centre for the Giant's Causeway before it shuts at 6 PM. We've got about 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I think it could be anywhere between 5 and 6 miles away. So hopefully we get there. We're trying to get a stamp in my journal. I've already got one today from the Carrick-a-rede, and I'll share a picture of it if we manage to get it. See you soon. So now we're going to do a bit of comparing and contrasting between different trails we've been on recently. And first I'd like to say that this trail, the Ulster Way, or I think it's called the Causeway Coastal Trail, is really quite well maintained in most sections. And although we're next to a cliff edge, it doesn't feel too scary because we've got quite a bit of distance between us and the edge, and all these ferns that are perhaps incorrectly given us a false sense of security. Well, when I was walking on the John O'Groats trail, you could literally see the edge, and they'd have like maybe 1 foot, maybe 1.5 feet before a sheer drop. There'd be a field here full of cows, and there was just so much erosion. But I think because they pulled the path in a little bit here, it means that it doesn't erode quite as quickly. So yeah, we're enjoying this. Stunning views, both out to sea and over to land, and a really good footpath. Tess can be off lead, which is even better. It's decently fenced, and I haven't seen that many sheep in the last few minutes either. So yeah, having a great time. So we keep going, and as you can see, the weather's cleared up a little bit. Thank goodness it stopped raining, and if you just cast your eyes right into the distance, there you can see Scotland. It's become visible again. Tess, as ever. Yep, there she is. She looks at me when I say her name. It's been such a good girl, enjoying the freedom and the wind, and yeah, it's just paradise for a spaniel, I think. If you look closely, I think we can see our first evidence of the basalt rocks in that formation over there. So keep your eyes peeled, because that's what forms the Giant's Causeway. So the second half of this walk, as you can see from the terrain ahead, is much more up and down. I'll share the elevation profile with you, but we have a lot of these ups and downs which somewhat slows down our progress. But yeah, nothing too steep. When I did the southwest coastal path, or parts of it, there were sections there where there were not even steps and you were scrambling up these sandbanks. So fortunately this is a little better than that. So we've officially arrived. Here is the signpost. Let's go and see what the Giant Causeway is all about. There we can see that famous needle, and I think we'll be able to see that for quite a while, both from this side and from the other side. I thought I'd better stop here because I think that is the amphitheatre we can see, which you used to be able to walk around, but they closed off recently due to a lot of rock falls and accidents. Here we are at the high point of that walk once again. Beautiful, beautiful cliffs. It's definitely cleared up, and there is the chimney top, or that needle as I was calling it before. I think we can see all the way to Port Rush over there in the very far distance, and here is the needle that we've been getting ever closer to. Down there I think it's the actual famous Giant's Causeway. You can see people standing on there right now, and there's you, just about. Yeah, so we're really close. Here we are right on the edge, and you can see there's a path all the way down there which will take them to a viewing point of the amphitheatre here. That person in the amphitheatre I don't really think should be there. They closed it off and it's quite dangerous due to the rock falls. There's our needle, and zooming all the way back around here again, there is the famous Causeway. We're coming for you. And just like that, here comes the rain. It's really, really quite heavy. Thank goodness the camera is waterproof. We're just about to take our right turn, yes, a right turn, down some steps. And that will take us to the causeways. So these are the steps. It's pretty slippery, so I'm hanging on for dear life. Tess is managing to do a good job without the rail. So here we are at the Giant's Causeway. Let's go and climb the top so you can see the hexagons. So here we are.